Senator Cassidy's not in line. We'll turn to Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Chair Murray, Ranking Member Burr, and Ms. Sue, good to visit with you. I enjoyed our visit the other day. I think the questions that are asked about the fraud issues are important, but I do want to share a Virginia perspective because we were really beset with some similar challenges. At the time that the pandemic hit us, we were at a record low unemployment, and that also led in Virginia, and I'm assuming California and elsewhere, staffing levels at our agencies had also dropped pretty significantly as the unemployment rate had come down for a number of years. Congress, wanting to do the right thing, thank goodness, in a bipartisan way, did three things to put real significant burdens on our state unemployment agencies. First, we expanded the unemployment benefit, the additional $600 a week, and that's now, being revised as we go. But that was an initial challenge. Take the state normal reimbursement rate and add that $600 to it. Second, we extended the number of weeks that someone could claim unemployment insurance. Again, that was a smart thing to do. But the third thing that was probably the kind of really challenging thing was the PUA program, which dramatically expanded the universe of people who could get unemployment. I think I've often heard my colleague Senator Warner say that sadly in the current American workforce, only about 30% of American workers fit within the traditional UI model because it was designed so long ago. So now we have gig workers and part-timers and self-employeds and solo, proprietors. We have this huge universe of people who aren't in the system at all. And again, acting quickly as we needed to, we said, hey, look, this is a group of people that has some significant need right now, so we want to create an unemployment insurance program for them as well. Now, as I understood your answer to Senator Collins' question, it sounds like the fraud challenges that you've dealt with in California, still dealing with, and we are in Virginia too, are disproportionately in that third program, Congress's mandate that states offer unemployment benefits to this massive universe of people who'd never been in the system before. Did I understand that answer correctly?
Yes, thank you so much, Senator. I enjoyed our conversation very much, too. That is exactly correct. Over 95% of the fraud that we have experienced in California is in that pandemic unemployment assistance program, which, as you said, by design, was intended for people who were not eligible for regular unemployment insurance. It did not have the same checks against your employer or look at your prior earnings at the outset of the program.
Right. So our design of it, and again, we were trying to act quickly because the economy needed it. So I'm not saying we did anything wrong, but that expansion at a time when staffing levels were already at sort of historic lows, it created fraud challenges. In Virginia, it created unacceptable backlogs. I mean, people were flooding my offices with calls about how come I'm supposed to qualify. I see what Congress has done, but I can't get an answer. So I think these are significant challenges, and I do think, there has to be an answer about how we dealt with it. Did we deal with it correctly or not? But there also has to be an answer for us because, I think one of the challenges coming out of the pandemic is, do we have a UI system that's fit for the 21st century versus a UI system that is designed for the 1950s? I mean, if we're going to have now a workforce that is largely maybe gig workers and sole proprietors and part-timers and things like that who aren't included in traditional UI, a question that we have to grapple with on the Help Committee and Congress generally is, well, do we need to broaden the UI system? But if so, how do we do it? How do we pay for it? How do we avoid fraud? How do we avoid unacceptable waiting times for people to get benefits if we decide that they're entitled to them? So I think it's a really important issue, not just because of past performance for all of us, but I think there's probably forward-looking reforms that we might have to make, and the experience of people flooding in and saying, well, I'm a sole proprietor, so you should give me a benefit. Turns out they're not. We'll probably have to have different fraud detection mechanisms if we expand the universe in that way than we would with traditional employees. Let me ask you this. If we're going to do an infrastructure economic recovery bill, I hope we will, I really worry that we don't have the workforce currently to do infrastructure. We don't have a sizable enough workforce to do infrastructure. The last question I'll ask is, at DOL, how would you contemplate working together with the Secretary to think about the workforce challenges attendant upon hopefully a significant infrastructure investment.
So thank you so much, Senator. I think this is one of the biggest opportunities we have to align the skills of the American workforce, especially coming out of this period of unemployment and economic difficulty, with the need to rebuild and the opportunity to rebuild infrastructure. And every goal that we have, every opportunity we have to, ensure a clean climate, to build enough housing, to ensure that we have roads and a transportation system and bridges that work and schools. All of these are opportunities to create good jobs in the communities that need them the most. And I think that aligning our workforce system so that we are training for those jobs and also ensuring equity and access to those jobs, that those who face the greatest barriers to employment, who might otherwise be left out, we have an opportunity to be very thoughtful about all of those goals. And I really see them as opportunities. And I would look very forward to working with you and with the people at the Department of Labor to make those things happen if I'm confirmed.
I've run over my time. Thank you, Chair Murray.
Thank you, Senator Kaine. Senator Murkowski.